Okay, I would describe Hearts of Strangers as, first and foremost, a community. But it's a photojournalism project where, I don't know if I just say Corey, my friend Corey, kind of just creates this platform for people to tell their stories and to kind of bring the areas of people's lives that would be considered the shadows or the darkness or whatever it is, you bring it to the surface, you're bringing it to the light. Basically to kind of help pull others out of their own darkness and to see that basically we're not alone. And in that it creates a community and where everyone can connect because we all have shadows, and we all have darkness, and we all have things that we don't want exposed, and at the end of the day, it's it kind of gives you the opportunity to be vulnerable and have vulnerability be a safe place.
What are some of the components of Hearts of Strangers? What does it encompass?
Compassion, authenticity, love, healing, and connection, of course. All those things. Just the beauty of being real and human.
Hearts of Strangers to me is the creating spontaneously the sacred space between people where there's a deep intimacy and people are just revealing the truth of who they are through story, whatever it is they want to reveal about themselves. And you create a sacred space, a sacred safe space for people to be able to come forward with whatever the story is. And a lot of times the story that you're capturing is a person suffering. But the way that you do it, there's an invitation for those that are watching for growth and hope and wholeness. That it's not just about the news, like sharing a tragic story. It's about the human spirit, and it's about resilience, and it's about healing, and it's so, so powerful.
I would describe Hearts of Strangers as a photojournalism project that is designed to help people reconnect to themselves, to others, through the experiences that they share, whether they be different or similar or separate.
It's a lot of things, right? To me, it's a photography exhibit or an ongoing photography project. A story. I think it's a very story-based project. But ultimately, I think the bottom line is that everybody, no matter what you've been through, there's no reason to be ashamed of that. And by sharing your experience, you could actually be like a help to somebody that's suffering.
I would describe it as something beautiful. Something I never thought that I would ever be able to get into, but my first meeting with you and our interview together, you inspired me. You brought things out of me that I had held in for so long, and it's inspirational and it's helpful.
It is an open book of release. It allows you to really speak your voice and your mind and absorb everything that defines you, of how you started, where you began, what little moments in your life actually changed your life, for the good or for the bad. And it also makes you sit, think, and absorb everything that you need to make your life what you want it to be.
Hearts of Strangers are people coming together. Hearts of Stranger is about no judgment. Hearts of Stranger is a group of wonderful people there to just help you no matter where you are in your journey of life.
You're able to share a story that has a story of your life and someone else's life, which was my case, and it helps you to share things that you aren't really able to share with maybe family, close friends. But with Hearts of Strangers, there's people there that are in the same position that you are. So you're able to talk with them, and you know that they really understand because they're going through the same thing you are, and they get it.
Some of the components are to remind people to be present, to really plug into whatever's going on in their lives at that moment, because you just feel like, from my personal experience, life is just so short. And if you don't remind yourself to be present and to be actually in whatever moment that you're in and appreciate it and really take it in and absorb it, as opposed to just sort of letting it, fly over your shoulder or roll off your back, then, your life is sort of enriched because of it.
In a lot of it's very eye-opening to me when I read somebody else's journey or struggle. And I was also interviewed on the project itself, and it was very helpful to me to get that out, because a lot of the stuff, I remember the stuff, but it's like I don't talk about it very often, so that's helpful, and that I've done things like that, or other times when I'm just very open about what I've done and what I'm doing now. So people always come out of the woodwork and say, that was so helpful to me, or because of you this happened, or and I know just to be like a link in the chain that eases somebody's suffering. That's pretty special.
When you did the workshop last week or earlier this week, I didn't tell you at the time, but I was like so amazingly moved by your story, and because of your story, it made me think about things that were going on in my life. Because face it, everybody knows somebody who suffers from something, whether it's mental illness, whether it's addiction, whether it's emotional stress or trauma, and it was extremely moving. And because I felt like people think that I'm brave because of my job, you're the one that's brave, because I don't know if I could have given so much of myself like you did in those moments, and in the video, and all that kind of thing. And that's what's moving to me.
I remember when I first met Corey, and then I went through I would like to hear your story, and me saying no, and then finally the story. I just thought that this was going to be, a guy will talk to me, and then my story will go out there, and that would be the end of it. Then I saw the Facebook events of people getting together and meeting, and the connection groups. And for me, I didn't realize that I was afraid of people and connections till I think it's something I just started to realize. Then I went to the group, and it just felt so relaxing. Most of the people in the group, I felt like I already knew just from reading through the blogs and seeing a picture of them. And even if I didn't read the entire story, it's like the group brought the website, the pictures, and the people all in one place. And I was just able to experience a different relationship with these people, other than just feeling like I know them from reading their story or looking at a picture of them. It was so amazing. Every time there's a group connection or group meeting, as I like to see it, I feel like I re-engage myself with people. It's more connection for me, and I get to meet new people who I feel like I already know, and some people that I don't even know yet because I haven't heard their story. And it's so amazing for me. So I really think it's a whole lot more than a website.
I think it has made me more willing to have tougher conversations because I know that, like I said before, I'm not always the best communicator. I tend to not talk about things if they're difficult or complicated, just like, oh, it's just not worth the effort. And I think seeing the interviews and seeing some of the healing that happens, just in a stranger telling you their story. And I think what would happen if I shared my story with my friends or my family who don't know everything that's happened to me. And I think it can bring a lot more understanding within the relationships that I have. And I think it's important to do that because I feel I'm a little distant sometimes. And like I'm friendly and I'm involved, but I feel like I don't open up very easily. And that's not always a good thing.
I would say the biggest impact it's had on my life is connecting me with other people who are able to address their own shadows. It's connected me with people who are at the point in their journey where they're able to be honest and forthcoming with who they are, all the components of who they are. Whether that's a history of drug addiction, alcohol addiction, whatever it is, for me, it's connected me kind of with the best friends I've ever had.
That's another thing that your project did was sort of not really open old wounds, but force me to face that because you don't want to, because it hurts. And that's another thing that I thank you for, because up until this point, I hadn't. I'm able to express my feelings to the person who I was very worried about. I'm so proud that things are going wonderful. And I think prior to talking to you, I don't think I'd be able to do this. I read back on the words that I had spoken to you in the book, the second book that you did, my story is in there. And I thought to myself, my goodness, when I read it, and I said how easy it was to just, tell you how I felt, tell you my fears, because I knew you understood, because you lived the same kind of life then. So I was talking to someone who gets it. And that's what this is all about.
It's relevant to me that I chose you and I felt immediately comfortable with you to be the first time I stepped out and publicly shared my story. And I didn't know why I was doing it, really. It was just, again, intuitively. I've been doing a lot of just intuitively guided stuff, just not needing to understand, just doing it. But the freedom that I felt, it was like, I've done a lot of healing over many decades. The freedom that I felt after sharing, and it was like this, just you and me, but it was going out, into wherever out is. The freedom that I felt subsequent to that was immeasurable. Like there was just no amount of therapy that could do that for you. Or I don't know any other way, that I could have had that kind of final, freedom.
I touched on being afraid of people. And it's because of all the things I've been through. I think I've kind of just shut myself off from relationships. And I feel like every time I come to a Hearts of Stranger gathering, for me, it's not scary anymore for me, because the fear of people either knowing things about me that I didn't tell to them, this group, I shared everything with them that I wanted to share with them. So they're not looking at me because of what someone else said about me, but they're seeing me because of what I said about me. And it's just, I feel like it shows me in the true manner of what I want people to see me as, instead of what people perceive of me just by hearing things about me. And it's just it's freeing in a way.
It made me take a step back into reality when I pushed everything else away. It made me come to the realization that life was not over, and far from it. It made me stop and think of all the things that I did correct and all the things that I did do wrong. but it also made me sit and really look at myself rather than anybody else. It made me see that what other people see in me isn't what I see in myself. And it also made me feel as I became important to one person and one person only, and that person was myself. I really thought that what everybody else saw that was going around me, I really thought that that opinion really mattered, and it didn't. What really mattered was what I thought about myself. And vice versa, how could I really love anyone else if I didn't love myself first? So it made me find myself. It made me love myself again. Hearts of Strangers made me really, really see the best side of me and make it better.
I personally had some struggles probably about 20 years ago where I was very depressed and suicidal. And to me, being able to read these stories is a great reminder for me that I came through a very dark place, and seeing others who have gone through that and who have found the light at the end of the tunnel, it's very inspiring to me and very encouraging. And I love reading the stories and seeing how far people have come and that they're doing well.
No one goes without troubling times. And some people don't see the best times. And other people need to know that. They need to know that not everything in life is all gravy. And what you see on certain things, the social media, the news, even the soccer moms talking on the corner, that's only what they want you to see. The truth sets you free. You know? It sets you free. And it allows everybody else to take a step back and really look at the facade that they make for everyone else. It makes you feel. It makes me feel on top of the world. I will never, ever, ever let anybody put me down again, because I put myself down first. I will never let anybody take advantage of me again, because I don't take advantage of anybody else.
For the aspect of people who are too scared to share their own journey or to expose themselves or their shadows or their darkness, whatever you want to call it, it's important because, you know, I think it helps people in that situation realize that they're not alone and it's okay to reach out for help. And it exposes people who are still in their darkness to people they can come to, who, you know, for help, for healing, for a listening ear, whatever it is. It's just, you know that anybody connected through Hearts of Strangers or involved with Hearts of Strangers in any way is a person that's safe to go to and to expose yourself to, because they already are exposed. You know, it's a level of almost like you almost know that anybody connected to it is not going to judge you.
We've spent a lot of years, I think, our history has been, especially in America, putting on masks and being who we're supposed to be or who we think we're supposed to be, and doing the right thing and appearing the right way. And those have been lies. They're just not the truth. And so it's an invitation for us to do what's the greatest gift actually we can give ourselves and each other, is to be genuinely who we are. Because as your shirt says, no matter who that is or what that looks like, we're all beautiful and we're all the same. One of my clients said to me recently, I love talking to you, it's like you're in my head. I'm like, I'm not in your head, I'm in my head. There's only one head, you know, like there's only one life. You know, your life is my life, I get it. So when we take the risk of sharing some of our deepest wounds or where we feel the most shame or whatever it might be, everyone can relate to that because it's the human experience. So it's like one by one, you're creating this matrix of us as human beings coming together, and through love and compassion and wholeness. It's really powerful and beautiful.
So many people feel alone in their problems and don't have anyone to share it with or talk to. And by you interviewing them and allowing them to speak freely about what they're going through, I think really opens a door to kind of unleash demons and really feel that they have someone who will listen to them and care about their story. And I think the fact that it's on social media, there are no, I think it's easier to speak freely because there's a certain anonymity that's available through social media that's different than kind of sharing your story in a public forum. So I think people feel safe and protected in that environment, and that really allows them to speak their truth without feeling judged.
I think it's important because it fosters connection between you and other people, between people who read your stories and the person who told the story, and it sort of creates the support like we were talking about before. But I think beyond just creating connection, it's a nice reminder that we're all human. And I think you had said that to me when I interviewed you for my blog post, you know, we're all in this together, we're all human. And it's a great reminder that you may look different than me, or you may believe very different things, but in the end, you know, we're all human. We're all the same, and I think it's a good reminder of that. Something we don't see often enough. I mean, in the media, things aren't so nice, and it just is a great reminder that there still are nice people. There still is positivity if you know where to look for it.
Right? We know that, you know, people shouldn't feel ashamed of things that they've done, and people are loved, and people could be and are embraced. But I think, you know, this Hearts of Strangers, I think, like, it's almost impractical application, right? Like, you actually live it. You're not theorizing about it. You're actually doing it, and it's like, oh, and it's, you know, it, I think, helps heal.
Oh, I think Hearts of Stranger, a group like this, is very important for what we're going through in the world we're in today. There's just so much going on in our lives, and a lot of people don't even sit to take the time to talk to another person and see how their life is going. And you see a shirt that says you're beautiful, and the first thing it does to you is it brings a smile to your face, because I don't think everybody just looks in the mirror every day and says you're beautiful to themselves. You tell other people they're beautiful, but you never just always tell yourself you're beautiful. So a shirt that tells you something that you wish you could tell yourself every day starts a new chapter, I feel, in everyone's life. And this is why each person, doesn't matter what your story is, Hearts of Stranger brings something different to you, the way you see it when you look at it. And it's amazing. It's very amazing. I know it was for me, and it's still, every day I feel it.
It helps people who are afraid to maybe go to a group, maybe see a therapist, although they should see a therapist because that's very helpful, but it's a good start. It's a good start to be able to, like I feel like I'm repeating myself, but to be able to talk to people who are in the same position you are, and to be able to tell them your problems and listen to how they cope with it, how they deal with it. And it's helpful. And you know, you hang up or you say goodbye and you think about, wow, you know, I'm not the only person in the world that's going through this, or my family member is not the only person who's going through this. A lot of people have. And there is light at the end of the tunnel.
You could walk down any street in New Haven and find somebody in need of, you know, some sort of mental illness, because mental illness hides. It does. It doesn't have to be the crazy person, you know, walking down Congress Avenue or hanging out on the green. It doesn't have to be any of that. It could be somebody like me. It could be somebody like you. It could be somebody who's in the corporate world. It could be a police officer. It could be anybody. And you know, when you're made to feel by society that, you know, it's something to be ashamed of, like, oh no, get over it, you'll be all right, you know, that kind of thing. When you devalue people and when you sort of downplay it and, you know, oh no, and then you make people feel degraded because of it, that's not right. That's not right. And I think that that's why the people who know they need help don't seek it, because they're afraid of the stigma and they're afraid of people looking at them differently. But, you know, if you can just get past that hump and, you know, get the help that you need, then you're going to be a better person for it.